No one ever taught me about finances, and all of a sudden I make a ton of money. What do you do when you fought to be somewhere, yet never had anyone tell you what to do once you got there? Growing up, we weren't at the bottom, but money was always an issue, even when I didn't know and just now see it looking back. Ever since I was 13, all I wanted to do was work. I wanted to provide in whatever way I could to get myself into a better situation. I remember how long of a wait it felt to finally be 15 and be able to work. I remember a local spot hiring, but me and a group of friends didn't even hear about it until the last 2 hours of the hiring event. We ran 2 miles all the way there just to get the last 3 spots. All my life, I've had the desire to be an asset. I've never had a problem being a cog in the system, so as long as the price was right. Without guidance, I just had to wing it for a while to understand what I could and would do for a lifetime. Always being interested in history and the military, I was an easy sell. I had no other options, and I was on a fast track to nowhere. By the time my body started breaking down and I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a grown man. Yet I still didn't have any mentors on the financial front. I didn't have anyone showing me the right path to take for a career. I was just older. I had a lot of experiences, good and bad, but I was still the same lost young man I was 5 years earlier. It was in 2020 that I decided I needed to change my path. I needed to figure out what path I want to take and what changes I need to make to never be in a bad spot financially again. At that point, I was $40,000 in debt, had $4,000 to my name. My body was starting to fail, and I realized quickly that there were some roles I just even couldn't do. Want to be on an oil rig for $120,000? Can't, because your ankles are shot. I tried being a plumber. I lasted a day because just after a few hours of standing, I couldn't even stand for 2 days. Understanding my new reality hit me very hard. However, it also fueled me heavily. It made me see that I needed to invest into my mind and what abilities I had left. I stumbled across an entry-level sales role where you eat what you kill. The first year was pain. Nothing but failure, learning lessons the hard way. However, what this career path has shown me is you only lose when you quit. I kept with it, and I continued to double down on the lessons. Next thing you know, I'm solving problems. After that, I'm mitigating them before they ever even happen. I'm closing the largest deals and training others on how to be successful. I quickly rose up and became a junior partner at the company. I did a lot to invest into myself and learn from my past. However, there are some bad choices I still make to this day. The choices are worse depending on who you speak to exactly. For me, I just want to ensure my wife and I are able to do the following. Have me stop working when I want to. Are able to provide for our children. Allow my wife to be a stay-at-home mother. Everything else is just icing on the cake. You see, everyone's caught up with fire and, retiring early. Me personally, I don't see me wanting to stop working prior to 45. I don't have a problem putting myself in position to do so. However, it's not my main goal. With that said, there's a lot less of an emphasis needed to be placed on retirement. Yeah, we own a little house and estate we enjoy. So worst case scenario, we could stack up around $500,000 and live in that house with low expenses. I plan to replace my wife's income next year. So with her pregnant with our first child, it gives me close to a year to make that a reality. Now, here are some of our immediate goals. We want to get $40,000 cash prior to our child being born. We want to pay off our car while still investing. And we want to get to $250,000 liquid in investments. Now, with any good plan, you got to see what your hurdles are. So here's a couple of decisions that we make that impact our goals. We've spent over $13,000 this year alone assisting friends and family. We currently rent our house to friends at a discount. We are taking a $500 a month loss. This is not best financial practice, but we see it as an investment into a good family. We feel an innate need to assist when we can. However, we understand that resources are finite, and more importantly, we need to ensure that we're able to safeguard ourselves during all of the rough roads ahead. A layoff from my job would severely impact our family during that transition to a new job. Who's going to assist us if we're ever in need? We love everyone in our life and want the best for them. However, as our family expands, we must ensure that we're doing what is necessary for us. Secondly, we bought an expensive car. Now, it's been a long time since we made a financial mistake. We've had cash beater cars for over 6 years. Last year, as our car was dying and we needed a new one, Feeling confident in where we were, we went out and bought a BMW cash. Not ideal, but manageable. A year later, we made an error. My wife was feeling trapped at home as I was taking the car for work every day. And me, always wanting to truly splurge on a car, we made the decision to upgrade. So we ended up buying a $110,000 car. It's everything I ever wanted. You know, I've always been a car guy. Shout out to Midnight Club. Yet it's been truly unnecessary. I started to think about how hard I work, how much I should be making next year, and how I could die at 60 or even a younger age like my parents. And these things shifted my mind. And all of a sudden, those papers were signed. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad. Honestly, these are just the decisions we've made, and we stand by them. However, there's always going to be consequences, choices, and trade-offs with anything. Number 3, we don't say no to ourselves. We don't really stick to our budget. Take this month for an example. We had a budget that we wanted to stick to of $15,000. However, we also had our anniversary, and I truly wanted to start this channel. So we ended up having a very big anniversary dinner, and I had to buy everything I needed to be able to play old school COD, record my commentaries, and all of those things had costs. To us, it was more important to celebrate our anniversary as we make it a very big point to each year. Just as it was more important to me to start my videos rather than waiting until next month just so I could be on budget. Now that's not optimal, but it's what we chose. Now here's our financial strategy. Some of these things are going to be implemented immediately. Others are going to start next year. Starting July 1st, we aim to stay under $16,000 a month in total spend. Already what we're doing is investing 5% of my salary and getting a 4% match. My wife is currently contributing 3% to her 401k to get the 3% match. And starting next month, we aim to have around $3,000 to $8,000 in disposable income each month, depending on what my income growth looks like over the next year. With it, what we plan to do is pay a minimum additional payment of $2,500 towards the car, then invest the difference. Lastly, starting March 2027, 6% of my total income is going to be invested into our company with a 3-year vesting time frame. The money is going to be increasing based off of our company growth and then be paid out yearly each year starting year 4. Now here's where we're at right now. As you can see on the graph, we have a take-home pay on average of around $20,196. Now, our expenses for this month were $18,135 with a savings of $2,061. From the graph, you can see we could have saved in the following areas. We have $1,227 from eating out, $1,121 from electronics, and I got a $380 bullshit doctor bill, $200 from buying COD games. There's around $250 we could have saved from Amazon spend. We got a $170 rental car for vacation. And then even though we have a home gym, we decided to go out, get a nice gym program so we could be out in the world. Guess what? We don't rarely even go. So as of right now, it's a waste. Now we're not going to be able to cancel it until around December. So this is basically $270 that I say is towards a waste every month that we're not truly utilizing it. That's an additional $3,618 we could be putting towards investments. Everything is a work in progress, but take it from me that life hits you faster than you think, and you can quickly be caught off guard if you allow it. This has been a look into our life and the plans we have to continue growing and developing. Enjoy the road and know that your story is your own. Well, that's all I got for now. I'll see you in the next one.